Player. What is our main mission? Commander. Of course, it's about recasting human civilization. Player. Is that it? Why do I feel like we've been at war all along? Commander. War is just a means, without it, where do we get labor? No. How to rescue those suffering people without fighting? Player. Is it inhumane for us to treat those prisoners of war as slaves? Commander. What are you joking about? So it's clearly labor reform, okay. Have you ever seen Siberia digging potatoes back then? We are already very kind, okay. They need to redeem themselves for the sins they have committed, and labor reform is already cheap for them. Player. So we commander. Alright. Alright. I will handle these trivial matters well. Warriors from civilization. You should go home and take a look now. I think war may have had an impact on your thinking, and you need to go to the civilized world to undergo some baptism. Alright. You can go offline now. Player. Biochemical orcs are roaring. Mutated zombies whispering. Biological mutants are hissing. When civilization falls into a low valley, humans are cooked indiscriminately, and ancestors from the long river of civilization descend into this chaotic world. Truth is only within the range of a cannon. Civilization can only be reborn through blood and fire. The enemy's howls are the most pleasing melody. When ancestors from ancient times formed a torrent of steel, all obstacles would turn into fertilizer under the tracks. The experiment of higher civilization is the arena of primary civilization. In order to recast the glory of mankind, the fourth scourge marches. Chapter 1. Wedge. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The timeline has been retrieved and the data has been organized. Thank you for your data support, _. The historical data analysis of the civilization on this planet has been completed. The conclusion is an aggressive civilization. Please request the main program to execute the destruction program. Rational data analysis, oppose. The historical data analysis of the civilization on this planet has been completed. The conclusion is a developmental civilization. Please request the main program to execute the protection program. Sensory data analysis, square root, superscript 3, in the analysis of the civilization history data of this planet, no conclusion has been drawn yet. In the analysis of intellectual data, gone. You trash. Vote. Data proposal, rational support for data proposals. Vote. Emotional support for data proposals. Vote. Knowledge has not reached a conclusion, logic is in chaos. Oh. Request the main program to initiate a vote. Data suggests again, upright arrow, the intellectual nature has not reached a conclusion, please postpone the data to initiate the vote. In the confusion of intellectual nature, asterisk. You trash. It's better to format it. Initiate a vote with data. Request the main program to format it to be informative, omega, name, data logic error. Requesting the main program to restore factory settings for data. Intellectually initiate a vote, omega, name, quiet. On the edge of the Kuiper belt in the solar system, inside a circular spaceship, several spherical robots are arguing with each other, codenamed data, reason, sensibility, and knowledge. At this moment, a holographic image of a blue planet is suspended in the middle of the spacecraft bridge, and the main program of the spacecraft is analyzing this planet. The history of all civilizations on the blue planet is being revealed in holographic images one by one, accompanied by arguments among several small robots, and the images are frozen in 2402. The sound emitted by the main program of the spaceship did not stop the dispute among several small balls, so it sent out an electric current to each of them. After the crackling sound, several small balls fell onto the deck, emitting smoke. The electronic sound of the main program rang out again. Master has awakened, all programs are on standby. Please remain quiet. As the voice of the main program fell, several small balls that had been electrified quickly floated up, obediently floating together, waiting for the arrival of the owner. Shoo! After a burst of airflow, a tray with a transparent cover fell from the sky. After the tray stopped, as the cover opened, a golden meatball appeared on the tray. The meatball inside opened its eyes, extended its short and round arms, yawned, and then rubbed its eyes with its small, round hands. Ah! How long have I been sleeping? Master. You have been sleeping for 34 planet days, the main program replied. What happened? Why did you wake me up? Little Meatball said while manipulating the tray to float in front of the holographic image of Earth. We have discovered a new civilization planet that has not yet left its cradle galaxy. This blue planet is their home planet. I am analyzing their historical civilization, and there is a dispute over the data. Let's ask the wise master to make a decision. After the main program finished speaking, the golden meatball reached out and flipped through the holographic image. Looking at the dilapidated planet, the golden meatball asked, "Is this what they are like now?" No, this is a future scene. Based on their time, it is probably a war that occurred after 176 years. It seems to be for reunification. This is what the war will look like 200 years later. The main program replied. Ah! Unification War. It's so nostalgic, I feel like I can smell the smell of crystal iron burning. Has the conclusion been drawn? What type of civilization are they? The golden meatball closed its eyes and looked up, seemingly reminiscing about the past. Coming out. Coming out. Rationally believe it is an aggressive civilization, suggest destroying it. Sensibility believes it is a development-oriented civilization, it is recommended to protect it. The intellectual fool's logic is confusing, I suggest the master format it, a small spherical robot excitedly replied. To showcase its excitement, two golfers, resembling golden meatballs, melted out of its metallic surface and waved back and forth non-stop. You are a fool, a data collector, and you should be formatted. Another little ball robot angrily refuted the little ball named Data. From its spherical body, not only did it melt two players, but it also melted a hammer and knocked on the first little robot. The other two small balls next to them quickly went up to the rack, and four metal-colored balls rolled back and forth on the deck, quickly forming a large ball. The dispute also came to an end, and the electronic sound of the main program came out of this big ball. Permission suppression, the main program has suppressed the chaotic subroutines. Please issue instructions to integrate the chaotic subroutines into the main program phi, omega asterisk, pop. The golden meatball hit the head of the metal ball with its own hands. Hurry up and part ways, stop making trouble. Without investigation, there is no right to speak. Since you don't have a unified conclusion, let's use the old method and let them decide their own future. Extract the individuals who have died after their planet rotates once and place them at different times in their respective civilizations. We will come back to draw conclusions when we return. Okay. Master. The separated metal ball and the main program replied together. Then you guys go ahead and execute it. I'm going to sleep for a while, oh, I'm so tired. Don't disturb me if there's nothing important. Look at my skin turning golden, I want to sleep my beautiful metallic skin back. Little Meatball yawned and drifted away from his tray. Start executing civilization screening experiment. Main program, data analysis completed. Thank you for your data support Omega, the screening of deceased individuals has been completed. Rational, caret, timeline selection completed. Sensory, asterisk, individual data collection assistant has been deployed. Intelligence, B. The countdown to the civilization screening experiment has begun. Main program, 10.9.8. 1.0 inch start. The experimental individual has been deployed. Several small balls began to cheer. All right. We're ready to move on to the next goal. You guys, get ready, I'll set the path. As the main program finished speaking, the data reached out its small circular hand and tapped rationality. What is our next goal? Of course it's the center of the universe. How to determine the center of the universe? There's an issue with your data. Why bother asking for such a simple reason? Satellites revolve around planets, planets revolve around stars, stars revolve around galaxies, galaxies revolve around rivers. What do rivers revolve around? So, as long as we keep searching, we will always find the center of the universe. I see. Did we recycle the civilization screening experiment we previously launched? Why don't I have the data? Isn't that the next batch of scientific research team's work? When will they recycle it? Why didn't they synchronize the data with me? So where do I know? After speaking rationally, it was integrated into the deck, and the data still wanted to inquire about sensibility and intelligence. The two small balls had already been integrated into the deck. After a moment of contemplation, the data seemed to have no problem. Anyway, sooner or later someone would retrieve this data, so it also merged into the deck and disappeared. Turn on the space engine and set off to the next target. The electronic sound of the main program echoed inside the empty spaceship. Chapter 2. Awakening. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Mind induction has been completed. Start asking questions about the goal. Question. What is the significance of civilization's existence? The significance of civilization's existence. How do I know? Why do I ask this? Please answer the question. I don't know. Clothing, food, housing, and transportation. Eating, drinking, and urinating. Striving to live each day well. Making everyone happier and happier. Question. Do you think the development of civilization is faster by eliminating opponents through war or by developing together? Who knows this? But I think there are all of them. Our history tells me that engaging in excessive military and military activities has no good outcome, but excessive emphasis on culture and suppression of military power will only lead to the extinction of the nation. So I think war and development should complement each other, and one cannot be missing. It makes sense. Question. How do you view unknown foreign civilizations? Foreign civilizations. Aliens. Who knows? It depends on what they think. If they want to eliminate or enslave us, then there's nothing else to say, just do it. But if they want to live peacefully with us, that would be great. I haven't seen what aliens look like yet, and I don't know if their food tastes good or if the game is fun. It seems that you really enjoy playing games. Not bad. Not bad. Who doesn't play games these days? Got it. Question. What do you want to do if the world is destroyed and everyone is struggling to survive? Is the world destroyed? Think of a way to survive. What else can we do? Okay. Okay. Next came various strange questions, and when Li Xiang woke up, he didn't know why he had to answer those questions. Now he only feels a splitting headache, and there is no uncomfortable spot all over his body. Rubbing his swollen head, Li Xiang turned his head and looked around. The walls were all dark metallic, and an unknown glowing sphere suspended above his head, emitting a bright and dazzling light. The room was empty, with only a metal bed under Li Xiang placed in the center. This gloomy atmosphere gives people a feeling of being in a tomb chamber. Li Xiang sat up and froze for a while, then remembered what had happened before he woke up. Yesterday noon, Li wanted to go out to buy groceries. As he passed by the Minqin River, he saw a large circle of people around the river. Curious, Li Xiang also leaned in and thought to himself, who fell into the river this big winter? When I got closer, it was really amazing. I saw two people struggling in the water. The onlookers by the river, holding ropes and sticks in their hands, vigorously threw them towards the two people in the river. Li Xiang saw the situation and ran over without hesitation to help. He didn't dare to jump into the river to save people this winter, but he still had 2 pieces of strength when throwing a rope to pull people by the river. When Li Xiang arrived at the river, a person in the river had already grabbed the rope, and the people by the river were pulling upwards with all their might. Li Xiang also joined in. Who would have thought that at this moment, someone shouted, "Don't even exert yourself, hold on to the rope. What is the situation? How can we pull people up without exerting force?" Before Li Xiang could figure out the situation, he heard the crowd of onlookers by the river start cursing. Sleeping trough. What kind of person is this Nima? This is a beast. How could it be like this? If you want to die, get out on your own and don't hold on to others. How could there be such a person in this world who wants to die and even wants to hold others back? It's simply terrible. Li wants to hear the surrounding discussions in confusion. What is the situation? What happened? He leaned forward and looked into the river, which almost made Li Xiang's lungs explode with anger. The person who grabbed the rope in the river is Brother Zhao, the owner of a nearby steamed bun shop. At this moment, Brother Zhao was holding onto the rope with one hand and tightly grasping the clothes of the drowning person with the other, indicating that he wanted to save him. But the person who was rescued pressed Zhao into the water, and every time Zhao leaned out to breathe, the person who fell into the water would press his hand on his head. Li Xiang thought it was a normal reaction of the drowning person, but when the person on the shore threw the life jacket at the drowning person, that guy threw it away from a distance. Next, Li Xiang witnessed the real-life version of farmers and snakes. The people on the shore not only brought ropes and life jackets, but also an enthusiastic merchant brought a ladder. However, everyone dared not go into the water to help. The drowning person was like a water ghost, desperately pulling his life saving benefactor into the water. Brother Zhao grabbed the rope several times, and even stepped on the ladder twice. As a result, he was repeatedly pulled down by the drowning person and the ladder fell into the river. Several young people by the river leaned out and tightly grabbed Zhao's clothes, preventing him from sinking. The drowning person was behind Brother Zhao, tightly pulling his clothes and neck, and forcefully climbing onto the riverbank with both feet, trying every way to prevent Brother Zhao from landing. The people on the shore were furious, and many of them asked Brother Zhao to let go of him and come up quickly. At this moment, someone brought another long ladder, and everyone worked together to insert it into the bottom of the river and fix it in place. Zhao finally had a place to rest, and he held on to the ladder tightly, wanting to climb up. But the person who fell into the water was dragging Brother Zhao with all his might. He didn't want to live and wanted to pull Brother Zhao into the water. How malicious his mind was. The two of them tugged and tugged back and forth in the water for more than 10 minutes, and it was already the 12th month of winter. Brother Zhao exhausted his physical strength and could only helplessly pull the ladder, soaking in the water. The angry crowd on the shore turned pale. A big brother held a stick and ordered the drowning person to let go, but the other person turned a deaf ear. Fortunately, at this moment, the firefighters finally arrived, and the drowning person was intimidated by their identity and dared not continue to drag Brother Zhao. With the joint efforts of everyone, Zhao and the person who fell into the water were both rescued. One of the older brothers on the shore was extremely angry and gave the person 2 slaps. In the end, they were stopped by the firefighters. After the incident ended, Li Xiang walked towards the vegetable market in anger. What kind of thing are these? I also don't know if the country has corresponding legal provisions for such people. People like this should be dealt with seriously. Otherwise, the social atmosphere would sooner or later be ruined by these people, just like the case of Peng Yu in the past. Look at how many people still dare to help elderly people who fall down. When Li Xiang was thinking about these things, there was a loud bang and something fell from the sky before his eyes. Li Xiang's heart pounded with fear as he dodged to the side and looked up. It turned out that the wall covering upstairs had aged and fallen off. Fuck your uncle. What does this property management do to eat? Almost smashed me to death. Without waiting for Li to continue cursing, a rapid beep-beep sound rang out, followed by a string of scolds. Brake accompanied by the sudden braking sound of the tires. Bang, Li wants to fly. Damn it. What are you doing on the non-motorized lane when driving a motor vehicle? These ungrateful guys. This is the last scene in Li Xiang's mind. Chapter 3. Data serving you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Remember. Li Xiang instinctively replied. Wait. Who's talking? The great all-around civilian intelligent butler, Data, serves you. A round metallic ball melted out on the floor like a drop of water, with a diameter of about half a meter. First, it opened a pair of big bright eyes, and then a pair of short, round arms grew on both sides of its body like flowing water, and a small ball slowly gathered at the top of the arm, just like Doraemon's arms. The little ball waved its little arm up, down, left, and right, seemingly satisfied with its body, and then an electronic synthesizer began playing. Hello, Experiment 15542. The data has been started and completed. Next, let me introduce the current situation to you. Please rest assured and wait. Then the little ball named Data told Li Xiang in detail about the current situation. Firstly, Li Xiang has already died in the original world. The current Li Xiang is a replica made by Explorer 13, and fundamentally, the replica is no different from the original Li Xiang. Explorer 13 is a member of the Major Alliance's Civilization Search Program, whose main mission is to search for civilizations in the universe. The Grand Alliance is a united community composed of billions of civilizations in the universe, with the aim of preventing wars between civilizations. When a civilization steps out of its own cradle galaxy and begins interstellar travel, the Grand Alliance will issue an invitation to prevent weaker civilizations from being devoured or enslaved by other civilizations. Overall, it can be considered a relatively just alliance. There are countless civilizations in the universe, some are relatively mild, some are aggressive, and some are inherently predatory. They will exploit all the materials they encounter and expand endlessly. In response to this civilization, the Grand Alliance will use thunderous tactics to directly physically destroy the other party. Most of these civilizations are out-of-control AI and biological disasters, such as the intelligent programs left behind after the extinction of certain civilizations, or the biological weapons created by them that backfire, destroying the creators and endlessly devouring everything in the universe. Of course, there may occasionally be destructive civilizations with inherent genes, but in short, these deformed civilizations are the targets that the Major League aims to eliminate. The explorers sent by the Major League will assess the civilizations they encounter, and when they cannot determine, they will initiate a civilization screening experiment. The civilization screening experiment will select individuals who have died after one revolution of the civilization's parent planet as experimental subjects, and place these experimental subjects on different timelines of the planet. The timeline for advertising is generally a chaotic era. When the chaotic era ends, the surviving experimental subjects are analyzed to ultimately determine whether the civilization needs to be destroyed. To ensure that the experimental subjects will not die unexpectedly, each experimental subject will receive a planet-level shelter base gifted by the Major Alliance, and one versatile civilian intelligent butler. That's about it. The explanation on this machine has been completed, and the experimental subject 15542 can now start asking questions. Sleeping slot. At this moment, Li Xiang's mind was buzzing like a computer crashing. Apart from letting out a sigh, he didn't know what to say. Should I consider myself making a profit? If you die, you can still live again. Speaking of which, is the Major League so hasty? Is it enough to categorize civilization by randomly drawing a group of people? What should I do? Or rather, what should I do? Li Xiang asked. This machine is only responsible for answering your questions and cannot make decisions for you. You should decide what you want to do on your own. I suggest you familiarize yourself with the surrounding environment to ensure your survival. According to the data obtained from this machine, your survival rate is around 1%. I suggest you carefully consider what you are going to do next. Sleeping trough. Is the survival rate so low? Where did you throw me away? Wei, Jin, Southern and Northern dynasties, or 5 dynasties and 10 kingdoms. How could a modern person have such a low survival rate? What danger is waiting for me? No way. I finally gained an extra life, I can't waste it. I want to live on. Li Xiang licked his lips, took a deep breath to calm his emotions for a while, and asked Data, that little ball, what era have I been thrown into now? This machine is a versatile civilian intelligent butler with the code name Data. You can use this code name to refer to me. Experiment Subject 15542, you are currently in 2402, which is the 200th year after the unification war of your civilization. The radiation dust covering the planet began to dissipate 47 years after the war, and those who survived will struggle to survive in the days to come. Your planet is currently occupied by various strange creatures, and humans have lost their status as rulers. Fortunately, it has not been completely eradicated yet. The radar in the shelter currently has a detection range of only 5 kilometers. If you want more information and functionality, please provide sufficient energy and materials for the experimental subjects. 2402, no. How can it still be delivered to the future? Shouldn't it be a historical drama? How do I know what the future looks like? What should we do? In 2402, it has been almost 400 years since then, and I don't know what kind of development has taken place outside or what kind of unification war I have experienced. No wonder my survival rate is so low. What should we do? What should we do? The little ball, Data, looked a bit confused as Li Xiang went crazy. It scratched its head with its hand and said in confusion, Experiment 15542, you should first search for supplies and energy. Your carbon-based life needs to eat to survive, and I don't recommend you to continue daydreaming here. If you keep this state, my data shows that your survival time should not exceed 10 planetary rotation days. You intellectual disability, shut up. I have a name. My name is Li Xiang. It's not some bullshit experimental subject. Li Xiang replied irritably. The local code, Data, is not called a mentally disabled ball. Li Xiang, okay. I remember your name now. Li Xiang, will you continue to daydream here? If you want to continue in this state, this machine is ready to summarize the experimental report. Ziyuankyu answered Li Xiang's words seriously. Hey. 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 How many meanings do you mean? Summarize the experimental report. Are you trying to bury it for me? Wait for me, my lord is still alive. Please summarize the yarn. Isn't it just about living? What's so difficult about this? You have to give me time to think about it, think it over. As soon as Li Xiang heard Xiao Yuanxiu say what summary report to do, he became anxious in an instant. What kind of summary report is this? This is about giving up on oneself. Just kidding. As soon as I come back to life, you want to see me off again. Rebirth from death. Travel through the future. Is there no time to consider such a big matter? It's indeed a machine, a brainless thing. Li Xiang stood up and walked over to the metal wall to knock. Dang dang. How do I open this thing? As soon as Li Xiang finished speaking, the metal wall in front of him opened silently, just enough to accommodate Li Xiang's entry and exit. I suggest you familiarize yourself with the environment of the shelter before going out, it's very dangerous outside, reminded the data. Don't worry. I won't run around, I'll just wander around and see if there's anything to eat, Li Xiang replied nonchalantly. Just now, I wished I could go out quickly. Now that I'm out, you're telling me it's dangerous outside. It's really a mentally disabled robot. Li Xiang muttered while carefully observing from side to side. What caught the eye was a small mountain that was only 100 or 10 meters away from the shelter, 2 or 3 kilometers away. The mountain was covered with unknown trees. The shelter is surrounded by knee-high weeds, with some trees growing randomly in the weeds. Li Xiang dared not explore far away. He first circled around the shelter, and when he turned behind it, a shocking scene appeared in front of Li Xiang. Behind the shelter is a huge city, and what is shocking is not the tall buildings in the city, but the way the city is built. Towering skyscrapers rise into the clouds like brackets, supporting circular-shaped buildings with countless other structures on top of them. At the center of the disk stands a sword-shaped building, which, under the sunlight, is like a shining giant sword piercing through the clouds and piercing into the sky. The buildings in the city are connected by horizontal passages, and the whole city is like a huge castle. Unfortunately, the castle is covered with mottled gaps. I don't know what weapon hit here, but the mushroom-like disc seemed to have been bitten by someone, revealing a huge crescent-shaped gap. The city below the disc was almost flattened, and the shock wave spread to the edge of the shelter. Skewed buildings and large trees grew at an angle, all telling the story of how terrifying the war was. Li Xiang rubbed his sore eyes and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Dude, are you crazy? Is this a nuclear bomb? Throwing nuclear bombs into the city. Dude, you're crazy. Why not unify the war? Unify the yarn. When you are unified, everyone will be gone. Unify the fart. After complaining, Li wanted to continue searching for something to eat. He searched all around the shelter, except for grass and trees, there was nothing to eat. A small animal about the size of a rabbit ran by from afar. Li Xiang took a look and casually picked up a stone and threw it over. Pop. GG, got it. Is this special enough? Li Xiang ran over happily, holding down the struggling little animal and shouting softly, "There's meat to eat. There's meat to eat. Not bad. Not bad. Pick up this unlucky little animal." Li Xiang took it in his hand and looked around. How does it look like a mouse? Can this thing be eaten? No matter what. Take it back first, then pull out a few grass and tie this small mouse-like animal around the belt. Li Xiang found 2 stones to hold in his hand. It seems that he still has some hunting talent. He can easily throw them and hit the prey. He should not worry about food and drink in the future. After indulging in pleasure for a while, Li wanted to look up and look around in the distance. He still needed to find a water source. He could survive for a long time by nibbling on grass roots and bark, but without water, he couldn't survive for a few days. Based on the experience gained from wilderness survival programs, low-lying areas such as valleys will have water sources such as rivers and streams. Or in areas with lush plants, the probability of water sources appearing is relatively high. Li Xiang looked around and felt that the plants around were quite lush. Where can I find them? Low-lying areas. There may be a small mountain across from the shelter, and he plans to try his luck there. Li Xiang found a stick as thick as his arm to defend himself and entered the knee-deep grass. The trees and the weeds may seem sparse, but that's just compared to dense forests. Li Xiang didn't walk far into the grass when his clothes were scratched by the branches. He forcefully broke the branches hanging on his clothes, muttering, "Grandma, how could you get caught by the branches?" Gabba. The sound of a branch breaking came from Li Xiang's head, and he instinctively looked up. A colorful orange cat was curiously staring at him from the tree. The cat's fur was soft and thick, presenting a special orange color, just like the enchanting autumn leaves. Their eyes are like two bright gemstones, shining with curiosity and wisdom. Li Xiang widened his eyes and stared at the big cat on the tree, swallowed his saliva, and began to slowly retreat with a stick. Damn it! What is the situation? Is this an orange cat? It should be. Based on its appearance, colors, and curious gaze, Li Xiang could be 100% certain that it was an orange cat. But whose orange cat is as big as a leopard? Li Xiang looked at the orange cat the size of a leopard and slowly retreated. Why didn't he turn around and run? Do you think I'm stupid? Cats love to attack their prey from behind the most. As long as you dare to turn your back to them and bite your throat every minute, believe it or not. The huge orange cat seemed curious about Li Xiang. Perhaps in its cognition, humans were not in its diet, so it watched Li Xiang step by step exit the grass. When Li Xiang arrived at the shelter, the orange cat probably judged that Li Xiang was not a threat to it. It extended its paw to its mouth and licked it, yawned heavily, climbed up the tree, and began to take a nap. Li Xiang still dared not relax. He stared at the resting place of the orange cat and carefully retreated step by step to the wall of the shelter. Stretching out his left hand and frantically tapping on the wall of the shelter, he shouted, "Open the door! Open the door! Open the door!" With Li Xiang's shout, the door of the shelter silently opened. Li Xiang rushed into the shelter with a swift step and continued to shout loudly, "Close the door! Close the door!" The door to the shelter slowly closed, and Li Xiang took a deep breath. His chest was rapidly heaving, so exciting. Hoo-hoo, sleeping slot. Sleeping slot. I'm scared to death, Dad. Fortunately, I have a lot of courage. How does this Nima make people live? Even a cat has grown so big, lying down. With a sound of lying down, Li Xiang seemed to have thought of something. He picked up the small animal hanging around his waist and carefully observed it. I knew it. This is indeed a mouse. Li Xiang threw the large mouse aside in disgust, lying on the floor of the shelter and beginning to daydream. No wonder that intellectually disabled person said my survival rate is only 1%. Regardless of whether the big cat outside is an orange cat or not, there is such a fierce beast just 200 meters away. How can people survive? Ha! Surprisingly able to catch prey, it seems that I underestimated you. Not bad, not bad. This prey should be able to meet your physical needs for the next 2 days. Do you need me to process it for you? Do you want it made into liquid or solid food? Li Xiang turned his head and saw the intellectually disabled ball scanning the big mouse with its ball handle. Its spherical surface, which used to only have one pair of eyes, had an extra mouth, which looked quite funny. Chapter 4. Isn't this the game base? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Do you prefer liquid food or solid food? Asked Xiao Yuanxiu once again, seeing that Li Xiang did not answer liquid food. Solid food. Kanji and Mantu. All right. Li Xiang instinctively replied. The data nodded and said, let's do it all. It released the big mouse in its hand and saw it disappear into the floor like it was thrown into water. Li Xiang looked at the inexplicable operation of the data and felt a bit confused. The data drifted to Li Xiang's side, and with his small ball hands, he picked up the wooden stick that Li Xiang was defending against and scanned it. Good thing. You should collect more. The fragments of this organism can not only recover the nutrients and water you need, but also provide some energy with the residue. The recycling ratio of bioactive substances is also very good, and the radar shows that there are still many such organisms near the base. Your planet is really a good place. The data casually threw the wooden stick onto the floor, and it was devoured by the floor like the mouse. Then it picked up the 2 stones that Li wanted to bring back and scanned them. Useless or waste, mainly composed of silicates, contains trace amounts of iron, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, potassium, sodium, etc. It is not recommended to collect and recycle. After studying the stone, the data said to Li Xiang, the materials have been recycled, and you can eat now. After finishing the data, 2 discs were raised on the floor next to Li Xiang. One plate contained a paste-like food, while the other plate contained a fist-sized lump. There was also a wooden spoon next to the plate. The small round ball floated onto 2 plates and scanned. The energy is about 2,000 calories, which can basically meet your energy needs today. Please consume it as soon as possible. Li Xiang picked up the sticky food in front of him and smelled it, but didn't smell anything special. He asked in confusion, "Is this the mouse from just now? There shouldn't be any pathogenic bacteria or other microorganisms, right?" The recycling compartment at the base has an automatic inactivation and sterilization function, and the food provided to you absolutely meets your own safety standards, so you can eat it with confidence, the data replied. Before waking up, Li Xiang didn't know how long he had been lying in bed. After waking up, he went out for a while and was already hungry. Since Xiao Yuanqiu said there was no problem, he was too lazy to think too much and ate the food on the plate like a bolt of a date. Because there was no water, Li Xiang choked heavily. After finishing his meal, Li Xiang began to observe the shelter under his feet. The entire shelter is a square metal shell, with an area of approximately 400 to 500 square meters. After he finished his meal, the 2 discs were directly absorbed by the floor. Watching this magical scene, Li wanted to know that this shelter must have some functions he didn't know about, so he directly asked the little ball for data. "Data, can you introduce me to the functions of this shelter?" The data waved its small round hand and turned around, emitting a laser from the wall, forming a 3-dimensional holographic image of a shelter in front of Li Xiang. The planetary shelter base is a small base developed by the logistics department of the Major Alliance specifically for interstellar exploration. The exterior walls of the shelter are made of Yana-grade metal, which is the top product of the Alliance's 4th-level technology and can withstand any planetary disaster. With your current level of technology, there is no possibility of breaking the shelter. Yana-grade metal can be freely exchanged between liquid and solid, and can be converted into any form at any time through intelligent program control. At the same time, the shelter can also be freely converted into various modes such as scientific research bases and exploration bases based on the programs carried by the intelligent system, which can be said to be very useful. As you are not a member of the Major League, the programs carried on this device only have some simple functions that can be used. The small ball data waved its hand and a pile of holographic images appeared, but most of these images were dark. It pointed to several glowing images and said, "The recycling bin function is unlocked 100%, the processing workshop is unlocked 10%, and the material synthesis workshop is unlocked 1%. Alright. No other functions are open. Let me see what functions have been unlocked." Little Ball said as he waved his hand and clicked on the illuminated icons. "You don't need to look at the recycling bin anymore, it's all unlocked anyway, but don't recycle some low-value items. Recycling low-value items may waste more energy than it costs. The processing workshop has unlocked image input and copying functions, as well as a mind controller. What is the use of unlocking this thing? The material synthesis workshop has unlocked biomass synthesis and primary cloning technology. So, I understand." Li Xiang looked at the intellectually disabled ball muttering with a bewildered expression on his face. When it was almost finished studying, he asked, "What's the use of these things? Can you explain them in a way that I can understand?" The data looked at Li Xiang with innocent big eyes puzzled. "Didn't I explain everything to you just now? Li Xiang is a bit crazy. He said your grandmother has a leg. How can I understand what you said?" Li Xiang took a deep breath and calmly asked, "How do these things work?" The data made a sudden realization expression and let out a soft cry of, "Oh. So I forgot to tell you how to use it. I reminded you before to first understand the environment of the base, but you hurriedly ran out. I thought you didn't care about these things. Li Xiang suddenly felt speechless. This intellectually disabled ball could even hold grudges, truly deserving of being the intelligent steward of an extraterrestrial civilization. Little ball Data didn't care what Li thought. It pointed to the icon of the recycling bin and said, in theory, this recycling bin can recycle any substance, and then store these substances in multidimensional space. I won't explain the multidimensional space to you in detail, just treat it as an infinitely large warehouse. However, I would like to remind you that recycling materials requires energy consumption, so it is best not to recycle some low-value items. Although shelters can theoretically absorb any energy, it also depends on the energy in their location. Currently, shelters mainly absorb radiation energy from stars, which is light and heat in your understanding. Of course, you can also actively supplement energy to shelters, such as light and heat generated by combustion, or electricity converted from kinetic energy potential energy. Directly recycling high-energy materials can also bring some energy to shelters, but because shelters still need to convert themselves, the recovery rate is relatively low. Li Xiang nodded to indicate that he understood. Isn't it just to charge it? The charging mode of this shelter is quite comprehensive. It can be charged under the sun, and even by lighting a fire, it can still rely on recycling and charging. So, what is this high-energy substance? Is it a radiation source? Ziyuanqiu saw that Li wanted to nod, so he clicked on another icon. This is the processing workshop. The copy function, as its name implies, is that you can directly put the things you need to make into it. As long as there are enough materials, the processing workshop will copy them for you to be exactly the same. Image input requires you to provide specific parameters, materials, dimensions and other data. The more comprehensive the data, the closer the things produced will be to your requirements. Mind controller, this thing is used in conjunction with clones. It was originally developed to communicate with unknown civilizations, but when equipped with a mind controller, with just one thought, the other person can understand your meaning. Later, the Major League had a more convenient product, which was specifically designed for cloned humans. It allowed you to control the clone's every move, just like a soul possession. This thing is especially useful for creatures with low intelligence, as the higher the intelligence, the worse the effect. Clones are like white paper, so controlling them is very simple. In general, this thing is used in some dangerous places, such as near stars with complex electromagnetic environments, and when robots cannot enter, controlling a clone can be very convenient for reconnaissance and exploration. The signal transmission method of the mind controller is not through electrical or magnetic transmission, but rather a unique communication method unique to a unique civilization that joined the Grand Alliance. This civilization was born on a wandering planet, which was not illuminated by stellar light. The scientific research team that captured this planet, through studying its communication method, found that this communication mode can travel through time and space without decay. The Grand Alliance calls this signal transmission mode mind resonance, and the specific principle cannot be explained in one or two sentences, and I doubt if your intelligence can understand it. Ziyuanqiu looked down at Li Xiang with a slanted gaze, and the whole ball turned into an emoji. Li Xiang squinted his eyes and gave it a slanted glance. At this moment, there was more silence than sound. The material synthesis workshop is used to synthesize various substances. As long as you provide the appropriate ratio, it can help you to synthesize, just like the food you eat. The primary clone synthesis technology is specially used to synthesize various life forms. As long as you provide him with the appropriate blueprint, such as yourself, then he will help you to synthesize a life exactly like you. Of course, there is no soul. At present, the material synthesis workshop is unlocked mainly to provide the clone with materials. Clones need to be used with a mind controller, so you don't have to take the risk of collecting supplies outside. You can also control clones to explore dangerous places. For your own safety, I suggest that when making clones, you slightly modify your appearance to prevent enemies from seeing your true face. When the little ball said this, it paused for a moment and waved its hand to clear the holographic image, opening up a strange image. There are various strange creatures appearing on the screen, seemingly engaged in communication. The little ball poked it with the ball player, and the words that Li Xiang couldn't understand became Chinese. Pointing at this picture, Little Data said, "This is the Information Exchange Center of the Major League. All civilized members of the Major League can communicate on it, similar to the internet on your planet. But you don't have to think about it. You don't have permission on it." Before Li could see it clearly, Little Ball clicked on another page. This is a resource exchange platform provided by the Major Alliance for experimental subjects. You can provide resources to the Major Alliance in exchange for some technology or materials of the Major Alliance, such as energy, minerals, DNA of new species, or valuable products such as technology and theories generated by civilization. That's about it. If you have any questions or details, come back to me later. First, you should study it yourself for a while, think about your future development direction, and I'll go rest. After the little ball finished speaking, it began to melt into the ground, and when it was halfway there, it jumped out again. "I forgot to grant you permission to set up a shelter. I will enter your information into the shelter now, and you can study it yourself slowly. I don't recommend you to leave the shelter casually until you have thoroughly studied its functions." After the little ball finished speaking, it sank to the floor, and I don't know how the robot can rest alone. Is it polishing and waxing? Li Xiang maliciously lusted for a while. Although Li Xiang was very dissatisfied with Xiaoyuanqiu's tone of voice, he honestly followed Xiaoyuanqiu's advice and began to honestly study the functions of the shelter. 36D15542 Exploration Base Permission Transfer. Experimental Subject 15542 is now the commander of the base. "Commander, please name the base. What does it mean?" Just as Li Xiang had this idea, a three-dimensional image of the shelter appeared in his mind, with detailed information about the shelter on it. Planet-level shelter base, exploration base, belonging to Exploration Team 13, Experimental Body 15542. Base name. Unnamed, base energy. 1.0001% base opening permissions. The recycling warehouse function is unlocked 100%, the processing workshop is unlocked 10%, and the material synthesis workshop is unlocked 1%. Alliance Open Technology. Level 1.4 Elementary Civilization. What is the level of our Earth's primary civilization at levels 1.4? As soon as Li Xiang had this idea in his mind, the shelter gave the answer. Civilization level where the base is located. 1.1, Colony Cradle Galaxy Other planets score 1, Explore other galaxies score 0.1, according to this standard, Li Xiang couldn't even score 1 point in his previous era, and he didn't know what level of civilization this major alliance was. However, these are not important now. Li Xiang just wants to live well now. Next, Li Xiang began to seriously study this shelter base. He found that the surface of this shelter base was an unbreakable turtle shell, but more accurately, it should be similar to the forward base of some games. Just the three functions he can light up have the basic needs for survival and development. That recycling bin can recycle any substance, isn't it just a mining site and a recycling plant? It's still the versatile type. The synthesis workshop can also synthesize any substance and food, isn't this the logistics base? As long as there are enough resources, the production workshop can still produce what you want. Isn't this a military factory? By the way, we can still produce clones. Isn't that even a source of troops? What are you afraid of? Who can't play games? Not right. It seems like I can only control one clone. What should we do? Chapter 5. Almost becomes cat food. You are listening at novelfull.audio. De co lois ara trong quatrin lay text. Chapter 6. Barely buttocks are about to work. You are listening at novel full.audio. What does it take to make clothes? Early humans used animal fur, followed by linen clothing, and later developed silkworm breeding in cotton clothing. In theory, the base can recycle plant fibers to make clothes, but Li Xiang doesn't know which plants can be used as raw materials for making clothes. Don't even think about animal fur. Currently, all the animals Li wants to encounter want to use him as food. Forget it, if there's no, then there's nothing. Prepare some hay for them and weave a grass skirt. These are all small details, don't worry about these details. There are virtual reality games now, what clothes do you need? What else do we need? Novice weapon. Just kidding. What new weapon do you need even without clothes? Li Xiang had already used the weapon himself, and these days he's been pulling grass and his hands are almost covered in gunpowder. What else do we need? Does the game need a cutscene animation? Do you want CG? It's all virtual reality now, what else are you doing with CG? However, there still needs to be a plot summary. We need to draw a big cake for the players to have motivation. This cake needs to be drawn bigger. Our starting point may be low, but our end point must be far away. Got it. Isn't this just ready-made? Human colonization of the solar system led to a unification war between the colony and the home planet, which destroyed everything. How do we write about this? Major League. Yes. Bring the Major League over as a background board. The powerful Universal Alliance of Civilizations has discovered our civilization, and in order to save a civilization on the brink of extinction, the Alliance has used time travel technology to recruit humanity from another timeline to rebuild the destroyed world. What about the details? Details are not important. If there is anything unreasonable, just treat it as a bug and make up for it later. Perfect. I am truly a genius. After a while of self-indulgence, Li Xiang began to worry again. Where can I find the materials needed for this mind controller? The base provided a list of materials, but Li Xiang really didn't know where to find these things, especially the chromium, nickel, osmium, ruthenium, rhodium and other things in the middle. Some materials are not even within Li Xiang's reach now, let alone refined, he doesn't know where they are. This is not enough. Without a mind controller, there would be no players helping him control clones. Isn't that useless? Li Xiang's eyes were lifeless, his gaze empty as he looked ahead, his mind empty as he began to daydream. Xiuanqiu Data browsed the official website forum for a while and experienced the feeling of a battle of words among scholars. Although there are many people on the forum, its data processing capabilities are more powerful. After chatting with a bunch of fans who questioned the unrealistic nature of virtual reality technology, I decided to go back and rest with the little ball that couldn't find any freshness after spraying for a while. When its body sank halfway down, Li Xiang suddenly jumped up like a soul. Yes. The intellectually disabled ball said that if there is anything you don't understand, you can ask it. Intelligent butler, do you know where to find the materials needed for the mind controller? The data stopped the sinking body and slowly floated up. According to local analysis, the first word you just mentioned has a 90% chance of being intellectually disabled, less than 1% chance of being an intelligent butler, and 9.1234% chance of using other words. I seriously suspect that you are insulting me. Therefore, I don't want to answer this question. Lying trough. How did this intellectually disabled robot suddenly change? What happened? He. How could it be possible? How could I use the term intellectually disabled to describe you? You are an intelligent butler developed by the big league. Your stored knowledge is as vast as the vast Milky Way, and your computing speed, even using the speed of light, is insulting to you. The term intellectually disabled has nothing to do with you. The data of the small ball circled, indicating that it was very satisfied with this flattery, you're right. You have more vision than many people in your civilization. I think those people on your website are the ones with intellectual disabilities. The raw materials needed for the mind controller are actually everywhere, and you are just blinded by your cognition. The soil on the surface of any planet basically contains most of the elements in the universe, but the content is not suitable for mining, but we have long solved this problem. Treating the entire planet as a mineral and melting it directly, there is no question of whether it is worth mining. The recycling function of the base is developed based on this. You only need to collect enough soil to recycle and provide you with materials to manufacture the mind controller. However, I would like to remind you that the energy of the base cannot be squandered recklessly. Before finding a stable energy supply, it is best to directly recycle the purified minerals, otherwise the base's energy will be depleted and you will be considered dead. The consequence is that the base will be recycled, and you will have to survive here. With the hint of the small ball, Li Xiang ran out of the base at dawn to start collecting soil. Unexpectedly, the materials needed to manufacture the mind controller were unusually scarce. Li Xiang made around 10 in a day. In the evening, after the production of the clone was completed, Li Xiang couldn't wait to bring his mind controller. Opening his eyes, he felt the light above his head slightly dazzling, and Li Xiang extended his hand to cover it up. Standing up and looking at the sleeping body lying flat in the corner, Li Xiang controlled the clone to walk over and gently pinched the arm of the body, sending two signals from his brain. One is the signal that the body is touched by a person, and the other is the signal that a cloned person touches the body. Li Xiang felt like he could wake up at any moment, but he wasn't in a hurry. He controlled the clone to leave the base. Walking, running, sitting, lying down, and even trying to eat 2 bites of grass, Li Xiang found that this clone was really no different from its original form. Having all 5 senses and 6 consciousnesses is no different from being a real person. According to Little Ball, when controlling clones, the body is equivalent to being in a state of deep sleep. This is simply too scary. If those capitalists on the Blue Star were to acquire this technology, wouldn't the social animals even have to work for them while sleeping? It's too scary. With the help of clones, Li Xiang quickly created 4 clones. At this point, the day for internal testing on the official website has also arrived. A technology television station in Japan, host. Kneeling and licking mulberry, I heard that a company in Longwa claims to have developed virtual reality technology. As an expert in this field, what is your opinion on this matter? Kneeling and licking eagle sauce. Hee hee. This company probably has no idea what virtual reality technology is. They don't even understand how difficult this technology is. Dragon people always like to boast about themselves. Are there still few examples we've seen in recent years? So let's not discuss this kind of hype news here. A certain broadcasting company, TV station, in Bangzi country said, Dragon country has once again stolen our technology. They claim that virtual reality technology is the latest cutting-edge technology developed by our country, the Great Bangzi Republic. Such shameless acts of plagiarism of technology from other countries will be prosecuted by our country, the Great Bangzi Republic. Eagle Sauce Funny TV. Brother, have you heard about it? Longwa has developed virtual reality technology. Virtual reality. What's the use of it? It's like entering another real world. Why? Aren't we just in the real world? Why go to another real world? Maybe you don't have to spend money shopping there. Are you joking? We don't have to spend money shopping here, okay? Brother. At the same time, the forum on the game's official website is even more popular. CG is doing well, but it's just too boastful, even virtual reality has been hyped up. Why is this boastful company like a mute? Didn't anyone come out to explain it? That's it. After bragging, run away. It doesn't respect us gods at all. Oh my. You guys are just idle. Is it so easy to develop virtual reality technology? Besides, it's impossible to use it in games. I see, this company is probably one of those who make VR glasses. It's just a gimmick to attract people, and there are so many people signing up for appointments. TSK. Brother upstairs, you're going too far. What's wrong with VR glasses? People say they give away devices for free, but VR glasses don't smell good anymore. What kind of virtual reality do you want? That's right. The guy upstairs must be smart. He can save it for watching movies at best. Why not give it away for free? When the forum was buzzing with excitement, the official website suddenly posted an announcement. The first batch of devices has been distributed. Players who receive the devices are requested to log into the game as soon as possible. If they do not log into the game within 3 days, our company will take back their devices. Announced. Which brother has received the equipment? Let's show it to everyone. How much has been posted? Why doesn't the official website provide data? You don't care how much he sent, brother who received the goods, could you please send a picture for us to see what virtual reality is using? At this point, a user with the ID you charge. I cover up, sent several pictures, indicating that he had received them, along with a terrifying supernatural event. Picture. Brothers, I've received it. You may not believe it, but I was playing with my phone in bed when suddenly a prompt popped up asking me to receive the device. I'm still wondering what device. As soon as I looked up, I saw these glasses on the table. It just appeared out of thin air. I swear I didn't lie. Now I'm panicking. I don't know if I should bring this thing, should I call the police? A reply popped up at the bottom of the post, but not a serious one. Sure enough, you guessed it right. It's really VR glasses. Brother, your story has no novelty at all. I'll tell you that you need to have divergent thinking and some creativity. The brothers upstairs are right, for example, the sky is filled with colorful glow, and those glasses are slowly worn on your head in the green light. Green light. Isn't it rosy light? It's all about light not being important, not enough. Not enough. When you put on your glasses. So big. So white. So long. No more. You're going to have nosebleeds, TT. The elder brother upstairs is a talented person who can even shed nosebleeds with his mind and lust, see epsilon equals, omicron asterisk, psi. Lee Kai's sighed as he watched the replies from Shadao netizens. As expected, he never decides to go online in case of any difficulties. It's really difficult to expect Shadao netizens to give you some advice on how Baidu can cure a cold and fever. Lee Kai's raised his glasses and placed them in front of him, looking nothing special. He carefully put on his glasses. In a daze, when I opened my eyes again, a dazzling light came over. Sleeping trough. This is actually true. Brother Wokeo, you're naked. Ha ha ha. Brother, take a look at yourself and talk about it. Hey. Another one came in. Lee Kai's opened his eyes and heard these things. When he followed the sound, the two brothers had already stood up, swaying the big bird. Hiss, I feel like it's so real. Hey. Brother Wokeo, stop it, right, wrong. Stop it. Don't lick the floor. Lee Kai's looked at the two of them teasing each other and lightly pinched himself with his hand. Hiss, he actually felt pain. He looked down at his naked body and instinctively covered his brother with his hand. Brother Wokeo saw Lee Kai's movements and laughed heartily, saying, Brother, don't cover it up. It's all big masters, what's causing shame? This game is too awesome. What's the difference between this and reality? Lee Kai's stood up and moved around for a while. When he moved heavily, his naked body could clearly feel the wind flowing, which was too real. Oh my goodness. Has technology developed to this extent now? At this moment, another naked man reached out his right hand to Li Kai's and said, "I told you to die without communication, buddy. What about you? Are you dead or not?" Li Kai's was stunned for a moment. "Oh. This is the name of the game, it's too realistic." He was completely unaware that he was in the game. "My name is you guys charge. I'll cover up. Ah-ha. Brother of the Nationalist Army. My name is, 2nd Battalion Commander, and in the future, I will use Italian cannons to clear the way for you hee-hee," said another naked man. "How can we play this game? Just leave us in this small room and no one will take care of us." He turned his head and looked around. He even knocked on the wall with his hand. The 2nd Battalion Commander also walked up to the wall and said, "I don't think so. Is there a command? Sesame opens the door." As soon as the 2nd Battalion Commander finished speaking, the wall seemed to melt and a door appeared. "Lie down. Is this okay too?" the 2nd Battalion Commander exclaimed in confusion. Li Xiang walked into the room with a small ball of data. "Hello, brave warriors who have responded to the call. I am Li Xiang, the commander of the base. NPC. A novice instructor. It's unfair that he actually has clothes. What is that ball? Quiet. Pai Li Pao La." Li Xiang let out a roar, and the small ball data released an electric current that hit the ground. The three of them immediately became honest. Li Xiang glanced at the last clone that had not yet landed and turned to the three of them, saying, "Our world has been destroyed in war. Fortunately, the powerful Cosmic United Civilization Community Organization, the Great Alliance, discovered our civilization. In order to save a civilization on the brink of extinction, the Great Alliance used time travel technology to recruit humans from another timeline to rebuild our world. Of course, if you are not interested in rebuilding civilization, I can also send you back. Now tell me your answer, are you willing to contribute your life to rebuilding our civilization?" "Willing. Willing. I am willing." The three of them quickly replied, "You're joking. A fool wouldn't want it. Virtual reality. How could anyone be willing to give up such a rare opportunity?" "Very good." Li Xiang nodded and pointed to the small ball, saying, "This is my assistant, Data. Your future tasks will be arranged by the two of us. At present, there is a shortage of materials in the base. Although we have recycling warehouses that can recycle all materials and manufacturing workshops that manufacture all items, our energy is limited, so all the materials and energy we need to be obtained by ourselves. The energy reserves of the base are running low, and the base has lost most of its production data on the way to us. So we can only rely on ourselves now. However, as long as we can provide enough energy materials and manufacturing solutions for the base can produce any items we need. Of course, if there is a physical template, it would be better if the base could directly replicate it. The task now assigned to you is to collect all the materials we can use and send them back to the base for recycling. After collecting enough materials and energy, you can make drawings according to your ideas and hand them over to me. I will try to make the base produce the items you need. Remember, the vicinity of the base is not absolutely safe. This is a world after destruction, with many dangers present. When in danger, you can run back to the base, and the base can ensure your absolute safety. Now, please leave." Li Xiang waved his hand and a holographic beam appeared in front of the three of them, with the words written on it. Task 1. Recycle 1 kilogram of plants and contribute 1 point. Task 2. Recycle 1 kilogram of animals and contribute 2 points. Task 3. Create any drawing with 10 points of contribution. Attachment. 1,000 contribution points will be deducted from death. If the contribution points are insufficient, forced labor will be carried out until the contribution points are replenished. The three of them looked at the holographic image in front of each other. Line trough. Is it so real? I'm going to work barefoot. Chapter 7. Sixth Sense. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Looking at the three hardworking players on the radar, Li Xiang nodded in satisfaction. At present, the base still has 0.954% energy, and teleporting a mind controller is about 0.01% energy, which means Li Xiang can summon more than 90 players. But that's not how the accounts are calculated. Although the base absorbs some energy every day, recycling materials, radar scanning, and even making food and water all require energy consumption. The energy absorbed by the base every day now supplies Li Xiang alone, and there is still some surplus. But with the arrival of players, recycling materials, making food, and even going back to making other items, the energy of the base will definitely not make ends meet. Li Xiang needs to find a stable source of energy for the base. As for the players, they should first collect materials for making clones and mind controllers, and then consider other options after summoning dozens of players. Another thing is making tools. Li Xiang has never thought of directly transmitting drawings from Earth to the base for production. The problem is that civilizations that have not been registered in the Major League are prohibited from any individual or civilization interfering in the development of their civilization, let alone obtaining any material from that civilization at will. Even the exploration team selects dead individuals and conducts experiments on other timelines. Li Xiang still took advantage of this clause, and he is also an individual of Earth civilization. As long as he does not obtain any material from Earth, it is not considered a violation, and the transmitter will not send any violation signals. The transmitted information, or in other words, the player's brainwaves, are all on Earth, so they are not considered illegal. If Li Xiang intervenes in the process of civilization, there may be someone to handle it. As for when, I don't know. But if Li wants to send supplies from Earth to him, it is impossible. The transmitter is restricted by terms and cannot be executed. And the transmitter will also send violation reports. This is what Little Ball told Li to think, but he is afraid of dying himself. Li wants to look around on the radar, and he is also afraid that these three new players will die. As is well known, human curiosity is innate, and when encountering novel things, they always want to explore the truth. Li Xiang is now afraid that these three little players will be too curious and run to the distance to commit suicide. You should know how many big cats are near the base. While Li Xiang was worrying, the three little players were still immersed in the joy of just arriving in the new world. You don't want to communicate with each other. Crouching trough. This his mother is too real. This sunshine. This earth. This sky, oh. 2nd Battalion Commander. Brother of the Nationalist Army. Please calm down. You calm down. This grass cannot be eaten, it will be poisoned if eaten. Go ahead. I'll cover up. I'm kneeling down. Brother Shige, come and help. The Nationalist brothers are going to be gone. 2nd Battalion Commander shouted, you don't know how to deal with death. Quickly ran over to help. The two of them clasped their throats and patted their backs, finally rescuing, you guys charge. I'll cover up, after a round of tinkering. Taking a break, he expressed his gratitude to both of them. Fortunately, he saved his life, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to contribute 1,000 points. Go ahead. I'm covering up. 2nd Battalion Commander, how do you know that plant is poisonous? 2nd Battalion Commander. I majored in biology in college, and the herb you're eating is mandala, which is a common toxic plant in North America. You can't keep up with each other. Let's just forget about that for now. Let's just do tasks honestly and don't eat anything randomly. Another thing is to be careful. NPCs say there are dangerous creatures around here, so everyone should be more alert. Let's quickly upgrade the tasks. I think this game will definitely become popular, and this opportunity cannot be wasted. The two nodded in agreement, and the three began to collect plants carefully. Due to the lack of tools, the three of them only collected dozens of pounds of grass in half an hour. The 2nd Battalion commander pounded his waist and said, "This game is too realistic. I actually feel a pain in my back. So, should we get a tool? Pulling grass by hand is really slow, and it feels so silly. We are at least intelligent creatures. Isn't it common to make a tool to speed up production? You guys charge. I'll cover up." He sat down on the ground, wiped his sweat, and said, "Yes. I've been feeling too much, I've forgotten to use my brain. It turns out that pulling grass feels like this. Farmer uncle, it's really hard. I remember we came in the evening, right? Why does the game seem to be in the morning? How could the game time possibly be the same as reality? Don't think about this issue for now. I remember the commander said the base can manufacture tools, let's get a lawn mower, and the draft is not fast enough to fly." The 2nd Battalion commander looked at the sky and said, "You guys charge. I'll cover up." Rubbed his sore wrist and said, "Don't think about it. You still have a lawn mower, didn't the commander say? The base is currently short of everything, materials, energy, and production tools need to provide drawings or templates. Do you know what the lawn mower looks like? Let's get a sickle, that thing is so simple. Everyone knows what it looks like." The 2nd Battalion commander casually drew a picture on the ground with a branch. "Let's get ourselves 2 pieces of clothing first," he said, rubbing his buttocks as he stood up. "You two have been naked all this time, isn't it uncomfortable? Damn it. You're naked too, okay. Exactly. Exactly. I've forgotten about this mess, hurry up and get dressed. Who can make clothes between you two?" 3 people looked at each other with big and small eyes, and suddenly understood that no one knows. Cough. The commander of the 2nd Battalion cleared his throat and said, "Why don't we first weave a piece of clothing out of grass? I remember in history class, the clothes of the ancients were either animal skins or grass skirts. A straw skirt. A grass skirt is also fine. Protect the eggs first. The villain hides the chicken, the gentleman hides the egg. Go to hell. Exposed maniac. Ha ha ha." After 3 people finished discussing, they began to start weaving. In a moment, each person wore a strange grass skirt and draped it around their waist. "You charge. I'll cover up." Reached out and tugged at Captain Air's straw skirt, realizing that this guy's craftsmanship was quite good. The woven straw skirt not only had a stylish appearance, but also could walk, sit, and lie without running out. On the other hand, my grass skirt feels like it's about to fall apart if it's slightly larger. Brother, you have to give our brothers a hand. You see that our grass skirts will reveal our buttocks when we move. Do you have the patience to look at us like this? The 2nd Battalion commander bit and tightened the grass rope in his hand with his teeth, put down the rope, and said, "I used to learn the craft from my grandfather when I was a child. I thought I would never use it in my lifetime, but I didn't expect to play a game and have a day to get started again. Okay. I'll make the grass skirt for you too. But as the saying goes, a gentleman does not eat the food that comes with nothing. I believe the 2 brothers are not the kind of people who get something for nothing. I wonder what my 2 brothers are planning to exchange for, my grass skirt. I'll go. Oh, yo. Captain Air's ancestral surname is Huang, right? I think so. It is said that Huang Shuren still has descendants." The 2 of them joked and ridiculed the 2nd Battalion commander. The 2nd Battalion commander held the straw rope in his hand and compared it with his feet, not caring about their ridicule. Instead, he shook his head and said, "They all say that Huang Shuren is bad. Do you not know that the young people nowadays are asking why Xie refuses to marry Huang Shuren? Do you think being a Huang Shuren in this world is fragrant?" The 2nd Battalion commander's words really messed up the 2 of them. They scratched their heads and looked at each other. We can't control this thing either. Nowadays, many people's values are different from before. They value money and make a lot of money. No one can say that this statement is wrong. Although I think something is wrong, I can't say what you're saying is wrong. Alright. Alright. You need to care about national affairs while playing a game. It's better to pull out 2 more grass if you have the time. 2nd Battalion Leader, you can rest assured to make up for yourself. How about we work together and share the contribution points we get equally? In the future, I see that this game is using us as a touchstone, and I estimate that we really need to start from poverty and poverty. I think it's better for us to cooperate in the early stage. After all, there are many people and power. What do you think? You charge. I cover up, said. Agree, sure. After the 3 of them finished discussing, they stood up and said, I'll go find the commander to make 2 sickles. You guys should be busy here for now. Returning to the base, he shared his thoughts with Li Xiang. Li Xiang didn't hide it either. He directly told him that to make tools, raw material drawings and energy were needed, or he could simply copy the actual object. Since you want to make tools, let's get these ready first. At the same time, Li Xiang also told him that the base can absorb various forms of energy, including light, heat, and electricity. To make tools, they need to find ways to provide enough energy to the base. Having figured out the prerequisites for manufacturing tools, I came back and explained it to the 2 of them. You can't keep in touch with each other. The prerequisite for making tools is materials, energy, drawings, or physical objects. Currently, we don't have any of these, and the drawings need a carrier. We don't even have a bottom wiping paper. The energy commander said that light, heat, and electricity can all be used. I think we can start a fire directly at the base, and making some simple tools shouldn't require much energy. The problem with carriers and materials needs to be found by ourselves. After waiting for you to finish speaking, the 2nd Battalion commander thought for a moment and said, I just looked around and there is a road to the east of the base. You 2 will go there later to look for it. There should be abandoned metal on the road. As for the carrier, first check if there is any on the road. If it doesn't work, we can peel some bark, which can also be used for writing. Sure. 2nd Battalion Commander, how come your brain is growing? I never thought you could use tree bark as a carrier. You charge. I cover up, patted 2nd Battalion Commander's shoulder and said. Cough, cough. You little one, try to beat me to death. 2nd Battalion Commander coughed twice as he pushed away his hand, go ahead. I'll cover up. Pop. He patted the woven grass shoes in his hand and threw them to the 2 of them. Give it a try and see if it fits properly. If it doesn't fit properly, I'll make some changes for you. The 2 of them put on their grass shoes, took 2 steps back and forth, and extended their thumbs to praise the good craftsmanship of the 2nd Battalion Commander. Leave the 2nd Battalion Commander in place to continue his mission, and the 2 of them walked together towards the Eastern Highway. The road to the east of the base runs north-south and is approximately 1 kilometer away from the base. Previously, Li Xiang wanted to investigate, but he didn't go because he wanted to collect materials for clones. When he saw that his 2 young players were going to collect materials on the road, Li Xiang quickly searched the radar for any danger near the road. The road manufacturing process 200 years ago was indeed extraordinary, and after such a long period of erosion by nature, the rough outline can still be seen. After reaching the highway, the 2 of them, one from the south and the other from the north, began to search separately. You guys charge. I'll cover up. We walked north for almost a kilometer, but unfortunately we didn't notice anything. The ground of the road was already covered with grass and trees. If it weren't for the occasional mottled road surface exposed, no one would have thought this was a road. Turning over a low weed, he sighed and saw nothing along the way. The towering city in the distance seemed to be shrouded in an invisible veil, attracting him to slowly approach. 3 people discovered this city as soon as they left the base and sighed at it for a long time. The 2nd Battalion commander wanted to go and take a look, but the commander stopped them and informed them that there are many unknown dangers here, and it is better not to be too far from the base until it is not strong enough. Click. Something broke under his feet, and he lowered his head to push away the weeds that were obstructing him. The thing under his feet scared him and he almost sat down on the ground. That is a decaying skull, with hollow eyes and a cracked jawbone, as if emitting a silent mockery. Wiping the sweat off my forehead, I thought to myself, this is just a game, what's so scary? Although he speaks tough, his body is still very honest. You quickly rummaged through the surrounding grass and headed south. The gentle breeze rustled through the grass, and as you charged forward, your footsteps became faster and faster. He didn't know what he was afraid of, but his body had already signaled danger to him. There seemed to be someone gently blowing air around his neck, which made his goosebumps rise. The hair on his arms stood up unconsciously, and there seemed to be a voice in his mind reminding him to leave here quickly. You kept looking back and forth, but didn't see anything. But the sense of oppression that was so close at hand could not be dispelled. At this moment, he only felt that the grass around him was full of danger, but he could not find the source of danger. Damn it! What's going on? Why is there such a real feeling in the game, like a special 6th sense? You charge, whisper softly in your mouth, and the speed under your feet does not decrease at all. Click. Ouch. Sleeping trough. I don't know what I stepped on, but you accidentally fell and turned upside down. Hiss. Can't this pain be weakened a bit? What are you doing with such authenticity? You guys rubbed your sore buttocks, muttering softly while cautiously looking back and forth. Brushing something quickly brushes through the grass. Chapter 8. Fighting Crickets. You are listening at novel full.audio. Stand up carefully and observe carefully from left to right. Although you don't know what the black shadow that passed through the grass just now is, the other party clearly sees themselves as a hunting target. Pick up 2 concrete blocks on the ground, and cautiously continue moving south. The rising sun dispels the darkness, and the tender green grass hangs with sparkling dewdrops, which are our most delicious food. Trimmed my wet wings, I plan to sing a song. As a powerful cricket, I must always showcase my singing voice. This not only attracts beautiful females, but also serves as a warning to same-sex intruders. Click. What sound? I followed the sound and saw a strange monkey. Wait. How can he carry my delicious food with him? These damn guys, like those despicable Mormon crickets in the West, are definitely here to seize territory. We must drive him away. I slowly approached him, searching for the chance to strike the fatal blow. When my sharp mouthpiece landed on him, he should understand whose world this is. Not good. Does this guy seem to have noticed me? He's running away. Okay. Fortunately for him, as long as he leaves my territory, I won't argue with him anymore. But I need to teach him a lesson, let him know that stealing food is shameful. This fool has fallen, good chance. I'm ready to take a bite. Should I take a bite on his thigh or leave some marks on him? No matter what. Our strong cricket clan is not cowardly, accept punishment. Damn monkey. As soon as you stood firm, a black shadow appeared in the grass. Before he could react, the shadow had already pounced in front of him. With a fierce dodge, you dodged the dark shadow and saw the true face of the attacker. Crickets. Sleeping trough. It's so big. This cricket is black-brown in color, with a pair of non-rotating black eyes embedded under its antennae and 2 thin films on its back. There is also a pair of sharp teeth growing in the mouth, one on the left and the other on the right, like 2 doors. Its forelimbs are robust, its hind limbs are thick and long, and it can jump. There are also serrated spikes on its legs. The key is that this guy is over half a meter tall when lying on the ground, with a minimum length of 1.5 meters. If all the crickets on Earth grow this big, then they won't be gnawing at the ground anymore. Before you could finish sighing, the cricket had already turned around. With a slight force from its hind legs, its calf-like body rushed towards you like a shell coming out of the barrel. You rushed and narrowly avoided the jagged mouth, but your abdomen was still scratched by a cricket, causing a scorching pain. He ignored the pain in his body and took advantage of the gap before the cricket had turned around. You rushed 3 steps and jumped onto the cricket's back in 2 steps. One hand tightly grasped the cricket's wings, while the other hand grabbed a concrete block and swung it round towards the cricket's head. "Grandma, can I still be bullied by crickets while playing a game? Do you, a little cricket, still want to turn the sky upside down? Anyway, I can't die again. Today, I'll fight with you." The cricket was thrown and flipped wildly by the yuchong, occasionally jumping up and down. The yuchong was almost thrown off several times, and could only throw away the concrete block in its hand, tightly grasping the base of the cricket's wings with both hands. At this moment, he arrived just in time, holding 2 steel pipes that were over 1 meter long in his arms. Seeing such a big cricket, he was also surprised and shouted out, "Sleeping trough! The grasshopper is so big. Brother Nationalist Army, are you taming your mounts? You guys charge, when a helper arrives, loudly shout out to you for help. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and help. I can't catch this beast anymore." Throwing you a steel pipe, gripping the other steel pipe with both hands and thrusting it into the cricket's abdomen. With just a piercing sound, it was like piercing through a stack of tough craft paper. The unknown black and green liquid flowed out through the gap pierced by the steel pipe. The cricket was severely injured and began to struggle frantically, but it also flipped it off its back. "Do you still live, brothers of the Nationalist Army? Pooh! You can't expect me to order well. Hiss, lying down. It hurts all over my body, up and down. Hand the steel pipe in your hand to, you don't come and go, and, you charge, point to the cricket that has fled and said, 'Brother Death, you can't let this beast run away. Take advantage of his illness. Take his life. This guy's body is worth at least 200 contribution points.'" At first, he was still hesitating whether to stick to the cricket or not. Upon hearing this, he immediately became energized and hugged the steel pipe handed to him, then chased after him. The cricket, with a steel pipe over 1 meter long inserted in its belly, couldn't run fast at all. It noticed someone chasing after it and moved its 6 legs, turning around to face it. Its wings behind it rubbed against each other, making a squeaking sound to threaten the other. The 2 jagged mouths were also wide open, looking very scary. Seeing the cricket like this, he didn't dare to approach easily. He arched his waist and carefully moved left and right, trying to wrap around the cricket's side. The cricket followed the footsteps of, "You never come back and forth," and turned its body, maintaining a direct confrontation with the enemy. One person, one monster froze like this. At this moment, he also rushed over, holding 2 fist-sized stones in his hand and throwing them at the cricket's head. "Suck, suck, suck. Look over here, big cricket. Your father is over here. Sleeping trough. Brother, your name is incorrect, isn't it? It's not important. Brother, seize the opportunity. I'll find a way to attract its attention. Okay. Brother Nationalist Army, please go with peace of mind. Your grandfather's." After saying this, he charged towards the cricket, not knowing where the courage came from. The cricket was startled by your charge, and it quickly moved its 6 legs to face you charge, with its 2 big mouths open and closed, as if it was about to cut you halfway. Seize the opportunity and forcefully thrust the steel pipe in your hand towards the cricket's soft abdomen. Squeaking, the cricket, whose abdomen was once again hit hard, began to go crazy. Its strong and powerful hind legs kicked wildly, and its shell-like body danced around like a large flying monkey in the grass. You charge, and, you die without communication, hunched their bodies and watched the cricket struggle to the death. Oh yo! This amount of bleeding, tisk tisk tsk. Shige, you have a problem. Your perspective is a bit different from that of a normal person. Don't be so rigid in the game. The battle just now was really exciting. Unfortunately, I don't know where to record it from, and I can't show my cool and heroic demeanor to everyone for now. Unfortunately. Unfortunately. What are you doing in real life, Brother Death? Why are you so reckless? If I hadn't remembered earlier that this was a game, I would have almost been scared to pee. Didn't you say this was a game? There's nothing else to be afraid of. Your idea is so strange. The big cricket struggled for about 10 minutes, but finally remained motionless. At this moment, it flipped its belly and stood still with its 6 legs in the air. When the two approached, the cricket symbolically waved its 2 short front legs. Dead Brother grabbed the steel pipe he had just picked up and poked the cricket. Seeing that the other party didn't have a big reaction, he confidently said to, "You guys charge, it's almost dead. How can we get it back? This guy has legs like a saw, so it's not easy to take action." You rushed around the cricket and saw the chitin shell around its neck. He clenched his right hand and slapped the palm of his left hand. Pop. I have it. Brother Death, did you catch crickets when you were a child? I've caught it. What's wrong? What did you use when you were a child to bring crickets back? Bottle. What about when there's no bottle? You don't come and go, just follow your gaze. Yeah. How could I forget this place? It turns out that there is a chitin shell behind the neck of a cricket, which is the same as a scarf. When I caught a cricket as a child and didn't have a container, all I had to do was find a piece of dogtail grass and pass it directly under the shell around its neck. A piece of dogtail grass can penetrate dozens of crickets. This cricket is just a big head, and there hasn't been any significant change in its body structure. The two of them threaded the steel pipe through the back of the cricket's neck and happily carried the cricket back to the base. Li Xiang had already seen the entire process of the battle from the radar, and at first he was very worried. After all, there were only 3 kittens under his hands now, and it would be heartbreaking to lose one. Fortunately, there was no danger. The two of them defeated this big cricket, but it also reminded Li Xiang that this world is really dangerous. When Li Xiang left the base, the two of them were bragging to the 2nd Battalion commander. 2nd Battalion commander, you didn't see this guy jump up to 3 meters high. I rode it and ran 2 miles to the ground. Yeah. If it weren't for Dad arriving in time, you would have been taken back to your old nest as food. You're joking. I'm brave, okay. If it weren't for me helping you attract its attention, you could easily insert the steel pipe into its body. The 2nd Battalion commander, who was circling around the big cricket, was overjoyed when he heard this. He said in a lewd tone, "Oh my goodness. You're amazing. You can even insert this thing, you're worth a lot of money." Just as they were about to refute, Li Xiang and Xiao Yuanqiu walked over, and the 3 of them immediately put away their playful and smiling faces. "Commander. We have captured a cricket, please give us your instructions." The 2nd Battalion commander saluted Li Xiang with a stern expression. The little ball scanned the big cricket and said, "There are plenty of bioactive substances, good prey." Li Xiang frowned and said to the 3 of them, "We don't know much about this world yet. What you need to do now is collect more material so that more warriors can reach this world. For now, don't leave the base too far. If you die, the base won't have enough bioactive substances to revive you, so you'd better be careful." After finishing these words, Li Xiang walked over to touch the big cricket and smiled contentedly. It's really surprising that you can capture such a large prey now, but it also shows that I didn't choose the wrong person. Come on. Your names will definitely be engraved on the monument in the future for future generations to pass on. I hope you don't disappoint me, he said. Yes, Commander. The three of them answered neatly. After recycling this cricket, Li Xiang was able to gather enough bioactive substances for a cloned human. Li Xiang's harsh words actually brought joy to his heart. The three brothers used tree bark as a carrier to create drawings of paper and tools such as axes, sickles, and saws. It took another 3 or 4 hours to collect dry grass and dead branches, and they planned to have the base make tools. However, there was no way to start the fire. The 2nd Battalion commander volunteered to drill into the wood to start the fire, but it took more than an hour to get it up and his hands were grinding hard. What's the matter with this? Are all TikTok deceptive? How can I feel that someone else has lit up the fire after I brushed the video? Dead brother rubbed the hay used for starting the fire with his hand and said, maybe the materials used for starting the fire are not good. Let's try other methods. You guys charge, picked up a steel pipe and knocked it at the other one, saying, I saw in the video that those bloggers who live in the wilderness can start a fire by hitting the steel with a stone. Why don't we give it a try? Don't listen to those bloggers' nonsense. They use magnesium rods or flint, which can even make sparks with stones. Go ahead and do the task. I'll make a hacksaw with grass rope, and I'm sure it can ignite the fire. Don't worry, said the 2nd Battalion commander confidently. The three of them worked together and were busy and enthusiastic. Li Xiang silently stared at them in the radar, and the little ball suddenly spoke up and said, don't you help them. The base can start a fire for them with just a little bit of energy, wasting their time on it. It's better to use the saved time to collect materials. Li Xiang shook his head and rejected its suggestion, you don't understand. The joy of games lies in this, and the gifts from others are never more satisfying than the achievements he has personally achieved. A large string of data flashed through Xiao Yuanqiu's eyes and he said, I don't understand. Your approach is too time-consuming and belongs to an inefficient mode. This machine thinks there is a problem with your logic program. Hee. So you're a machine, you know a ball. Li Xiang sneered at the little ball. Xiao Yuanqiu was about to speak when a signal suddenly came. He turned to look at the last clone and said, your last player has logged in. Li Xiang turned around and looked at the newly awakened player. Oh my god. This is actually true. So reality means exactly the same thing as reality. No wonder this game is called reality. Ha ha ha. I want to go back and tell these silly birds that I envy these BK people. Cough cough cough. Li Xiang coughed a few times, reminding the new player. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly, hello. I'm Li Xiang, the commander of the base. What kind of ridiculous names are these? Li Xiang sighed inwardly. Wow. He let out a scream of surprise as he rubbed his eyes and looked at Li Xiang. Are you so intelligent? Are you an NPC? Epsilon equals, Omicron asterisk, Li Xiang sighed, feeling a bit disinterested in interacting with the players. Chapter 9. A lively day. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Hard-faced, Li Xiang repeated his previous statement and drove the new player out of the base. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly. As you walked out of the base, you looked at the new world with a shocked expression on your face, and your brain couldn't react for a moment. The 2nd Battalion commander, who was making a fire, saw that he should not touch his pants casually. He waved his hand and warmly greeted the other party. Hey. New brother, hello. Waked up from shock by the 2nd Battalion commander, he turned his head to look. I saw a wild man wearing a grass skirt squatting on the ground doing something. Sleeping slot. Wild man. This game is quite enjoyable. The 2nd Battalion commander's face turned black when he heard this title. You bare-bottomed person is good at calling others savages. Are you polite? At this moment, he realized that he was actually naked. He instinctively covered his brother with both hands and awkwardly said to the 2nd Battalion commander, "Brother, I'm sorry. I thought you were an NPC, where did you get that clothes?" The 2nd Battalion commander casually pointed to the surrounding grass and said, "The ground is all covered, I'll pull out the grass and make it myself. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly." Sigma, number 34, is it so real? I don't even give one piece of clothing. Hee hee. It's just so real, otherwise how could a game be called reality? The 2nd Battalion commander chuckled twice and replied, "Thank you, brother. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly." Holding onto your little brother, I ran to the edge of the grass and grabbed a few pieces of hay before starting to weave a grass skirt. First, use a piece of grass as the main thread, and use one piece of grass on each side as the branch thread. 3 pieces of grass are woven in a cross pattern, and in a short while, don't touch your pants randomly, a grass rope of about 10 centimeters is woven. Oh my! Look at my intelligence. I am truly a genius. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly. Looking at the grass rope in his hand, he secretly felt lascivious. After a moment of pride, he fell into deep thought. By the way, how did the grass rope turn into a skirt? Dead brother and, you charge, returned to the base holding a large handful of hay. After collecting the hay, the 2 of them came to the side of the 2nd Battalion commander. At this moment, the 2nd Battalion commander was holding a wooden bow, with a wooden stick tied to the bowstring. The 2nd Battalion commander was pulling back and forth on the wooden stick, with a wooden board fixed at the bottom. As the stick rotated and rubbed, some black sawdust quickly appeared on the board. When the green smoke rose, the 2nd Battalion commander carefully placed the hay that ignited the fire and blew it lightly. Thick smoke rose, followed by a burst of flames. Oh my God! Finally ignited this damn fire. 2nd Battalion took a long breath and picked up the withered branches and leaves beside them to add to the fire. 3rd Battalion's face showed a happy smile. "Brother! You're amazing. You've raised the fire. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly." There is a circle of grass rope around your waist, with several green grass of varying lengths tied to the rope, covering key areas. Step towards the 2 battalion commanders and 3 others. The 4 of them introduced themselves to each other and happily formed the first team. Looking at the few bark pieces in his hand, Li Xiang couldn't help but marvel at how ingenious these guys were, even in such a strange way. Dead brother said to Li Xiang, "Commander, I wonder if this can be used as a carrier." "Sure. So are you ready with your raw materials and the energy provided for the base?" The dead brother and his companions looked at each other excitedly. As long as they confirmed that the bark could serve as a carrier, the rest were minor issues. If the quantity was not enough, they could still go and collect it. "It should be almost there, but we can only use fire to provide energy. I don't know how much it will take." Death brother replied with suppressed excitement. "Just give it a try." Li Xiang placed a few pieces of bark in his hand on the floor, watching as the bark on the floor was slowly devoured. A few small players showed a whale-eating expression. "All right. Now move in the fuel you have prepared." Li Xiang turned around and said to the dead brothers. "Ah. Here." Dead brother pointed inside the base. Don't worry about burning down the base, it's much stronger than you think," Li Xiang said with a smile. "We're just worried about making the base dirty," the dead brother muttered in a low voice. 4 people worked together to move a mountain of hay into the base. As the hay ignited, Li Xiang led everyone out of the base. "By the way, I forgot to tell you that making tools requires contribution points, so you need to be mentally prepared," Li Xiang said calmly. "Ah. The 4 of them looked bewildered. Why didn't they mention it before? Why is this NPC like this? Li Xiang ignored a few small players, and as the hay in the base burned out, the energy of the base increased by 0.000003%. The hay that the four of them just moved in is about 1 ton. Based on the heat value of hay and wood at a ratio of 10.1 and wood and coal at a ratio of 3.1, about 100 tons of coal can gather enough energy to summon a player. If converted to hay, it would be 10,000 tons. Lying trough. This is so exhausting that these few people can't make up for it. It seems that we still need to think of other ways. Returning to the base, there were 4 axes on the floor. Lee wanted to take a look and found that manufacturing these 4 axes consumed half a ton of energy provided by hay. But of course, he can't be honest with a few small players. It's already very kind to only intercept half of the energy, okay. Of course, making 4 axes also deducted 200 contribution points from 4 young players. They must be allowed to consume, otherwise what is the significance of contributing points? There is no currency system now. The player's data is all with the little ball, and they have to scan it to check their own data. It's already very kind not to charge them. The 4 of them picked up their brand new axes and were overjoyed. Finally, they didn't have to use their hands to push them anymore. It was heartbreaking to hear about this, as the 2nd Battalion commander who pulled the grass the most had several blisters on his hands. Gollum. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly. Feeling embarrassed, he touched his stomach and smiled at everyone. I didn't expect to go hungry again, this game is really too realistic. Hee 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 hee. The 2nd Battalion commander also touched his stomach and said, it looks like it's already past lunchtime. Let's have something to eat. That's right. I didn't feel hungry just now, and when you said it, I also felt hungry. I remember the commander said the base provided food, and I asked where to go to collect it. After the dead brother finished speaking, he walked towards Li Xiang. After each person had spent 10 points to contribute and had eaten their fill, the 2nd Battalion commander held his stomach in pain and said, if I had known that even eating would cost money, why not keep that cricket for now? Those 2 legs are enough for us to eat 2 meals. Yeah. Yeah. It's still so unpleasant. You guys rush, said as he stroked his stomach. It tastes bad, but I haven't seen you eat less. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly. Dead brother moved his body for a moment, raised his axe in his hand and said to the 3 of them, all right. Don't worry about this anymore. The commander has updated the task for the afternoon, hasn't he? Cutting 1 kilogram of wood makes 2 contributions, and chopping trees is much faster than pulling grass. Let's take action quickly. Go. Awesome, just do it. Looking at the 4 energetic little players, Li Xiang smiled at his aunt. The little ball asked in confusion, strange creatures, can they still be so happy to be exploited in labor? You don't understand. This is not labor, it's for the revival of civilization. Li Xianglaoshan said in person. In the evening, Li Xiang recalled his little player because the outside environment was too dangerous at night. In order to ensure the safety of the players, Li Xiang did not let them work overtime overnight, although several young players said they could fight overnight. Li Xiang informed the young players through an announcement that as long as the base radar radiation reaches a certain range, they can save records and go online and offline at any time and anywhere, but safety cannot be guaranteed. For the sake of safety, it is temporarily recommended to let young players go online and offline within the base. For young players have been busy all day, collecting 2 servings of bioactive substances for Li Xiang, and with that big cricket, Li Xiang can now summon 3 new players. Having asked Xiaoyuanqiu to help screen again, Li Xiang still chose 3 college students. That's right. The 4 brothers are all college students in school. In the words of a certain unscrupulous person, these people have leisure but no money, are energetic, and their bodies are twice as good. They eat well, are enthusiastic and energetic, passionate and impulsive, and choosing them is not a good trait for them. Official announcement. As the night map is not yet ready, the game is only available during the day. Please keep track of the launch time for beta testers and ensure it is launched on time at 8 p.m. every night. Oh my goodness. This scammer company is quite like that, and they're even making announcements. What a scam. Don't care if others believe it or not, he has to believe it himself first. Speaking of which, the announcement was made early in the morning. These scammers are quite diligent. You guys came here early in the morning to wander around, you guys are even more diligent. Don't make such a fuss anymore. I received a post from the glasses guy yesterday. It must be a joke. Let's go, let's go. Go get at him. Oh, hello. We need to go and see the excitement. Forum, you guys charge. I'll cover up. True virtual reality brings you another life experience, the first day for those who experience it firsthand. Diary 1, Dear family members. Let everyone wait for a long time. As one of the only 4 beta users of the game, I would like to share with you my gaming experience from yesterday. Firstly, neither boasting nor criticizing, this game is really amazing. It is truly a virtual reality game named Reality. The VR glasses that everyone is talking about are the login devices for games, but they are not those counterfeit and inferior products. When you put it on, close your eyes and open them again, you will find yourself entering a new world. Yes. I'm not wrong. It's a new world. The new world is exactly the same as our reality. Your vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch are all like the real world. The moment I stepped out of the base, the warm sunshine, gentle wind, and the faint fragrance of nature's grass. Everyone is telling you that this is a real world. When I touched the ground beneath my feet, caressed the gentle grass, and even felt the warmth of flames, tears streamed down my face at that moment. Brothers. Don't envy me. Everyone has a chance. I will wait for you in the game. Let me tell you about my experience today. The game is set 200 years after the Human Unification War, in 2402 years. We were summoned by an unknown civilization alliance using a time machine, with the aim of rebuilding civilization. The base has a commander and a spherical intelligent robot. The base itself is very powerful, capable of recycling any substance, providing sufficient energy in material, and also has drawings to make anything you want. But due to crossing over, the base is currently running out of energy. So we can only start from scratch. It has to be said that the game production team is really a pit, they didn't even prepare a pair of shorts for us, and we still weave our own grass skirts. The main task today is to uproot the grass and collect bioactive substances. Along the way, another brother and I were searching for supplies outside the base when we encountered the first monster. At that time, I was shocked. Who has seen crickets weighing over 100 pounds? Damn it. That mouth looked like a death sickle, with sharp spikes all over its legs. It jumped 3 or 4 meters high and lay on the ground as big as a small car. When I met this guy, I was the only one. After a fierce battle, I finally beat it to half-death. Later, my teammates arrived and the 2 of us worked together to kill this cricket. In the afternoon, we finally lit a fire. Let's talk to our brothers here. Don't trust the bloggers on TikTok. I can even scratch your hands. After a morning of hard work and providing sufficient supplies to the base, we finally unlocked some basic technologies such as axes, saws, and paper. The brothers who will come back later don't have to work as hard as us. Although they are tired in the game, I feel very fulfilled today. By the way, I have to praise the game production team again here. After waking up this morning, I didn't feel tired at all. It's really like what the official website said. When playing games, my body will fall into deep sleep. After playing games all night, I not only didn't feel any fatigue, but also felt refreshed when I woke up. The above is my first day experience in the game. In the future, I will update my daily life in the game from time to time. I hope everyone supports me. Thank you all for your support. This post has just been published and there are countless comments below it. Crazy little potato. Grass skirt. Sleeping trough. That's not very spicy. The shrimp didn't blink and said, ancient scenery. Fun. Fun. Heartsuit. The chef with a knife in front of the emperor said, a cricket weighing over 100 pounds. That pot can't stew it. I captured the strange beast and said, it's all a small scene. I used to ride a bald eagle and jump into the nest of a big snake with a little boy in my arms. I haven't injured a single hair yet. A cricket is not worth making a fuss about. National Waste Protection. This game doesn't even distribute clothes. It's so unprofessional. I really like it. Pie is the soul of feces. Hey. Are there demons and spirits here? There are so many perverts. I can't even count them. Unknown reptile. Please be serious, what should I do if you make such an unprofessional game yellow? Wodeyaku academic scumbag. Alright. Let's all scatter. At least the metaverse is still drawing a pie. This company's pie hasn't been drawn yet, so I want to cut the leak. It's so naive. Chapter 10. Touch Don't Squat in the Grass. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. The new cloned human body is already in production, and Li Xiang is holding on to the legs of a roasted cricket and nibbling on it. Aha! The taste is really good. It's full of protein, fortunately I'm smart. Yes. Li Xiang left behind the two sturdy hind legs of the cricket while recycling it. If a few players knew that Li Xiang would do this, even if Li Xiang was an NPC, they would inevitably have to argue with him. Not only that, Li Xiang also secretly intercepted dozens of pounds of hay as his own bed. Looking at the 4 clone bodies lying on the floor, Li Xiang frowned. Unfortunately, the deformation of the base requires too much energy, otherwise Li Xiang would definitely divide himself into a separate room. Forget it. Just make do with it for now. Consider this issue again in the future. After dinner, Li Xiang fell into contemplation. Why do players have exactly the opposite time as here? It's all the same Earth, why is it day there and night here? Can you say that? Do you think this is the territory of the bald eagle? How else can we explain this time difference? It seems like this is probably the case, but why was the base chosen here? I don't understand. If you don't understand, then don't think anymore. Let's consider the next step of the plan now. Firstly, the basic issues of clothing, food, housing, and transportation have been temporarily resolved. The following is the issue of energy, which has been proven to be unsolvable by starting a fire. Then it is necessary to guide players to find ways to solve this problem. Firstly, we need to limit them in terms of energy. As players slowly leave the base and embark on adventures, they will definitely need better weapons and equipment. Weapons and equipment can only be manufactured on the base now, and as long as they get a boost in energy, players will naturally find ways to rub their hands on the generator. It's not that electricity converts more energy than fire, but rather because the production speed of the base is fixed. It won't accelerate the production speed just because the technology content of what you produce is low. Of course, it will definitely be faster, but it cannot be completed in an instant. It's like using a modern lathe to make ancient swords. The speed is definitely faster than making iron, but even faster, it still takes time to make. After the number of players increases, the base will definitely be used to manufacture some high-precision and cutting-edge products, so we still need to develop our own production and manufacturing department. Another way is to use fire to provide energy to the base. The base is so big, how much fire can it generate? It is still necessary to have a large area and multiple production lines to produce more energy and provide it to the base. Unfortunately, Li Xiang himself doesn't know how the technology tree climbs up step by step, but he can still assign tasks to players to find ways. He. I'm really smart. Let's first release this as the main task for them and let them slowly come up with a solution. With beautiful fantasies in his arms, Li Xiang fell asleep peacefully. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly. His real name is Wang Yuantu. He is a junior student in Northwest Industry. As a science and engineering dog, he is now deeply immersed in self-doubt. How can virtual reality technology become reality? This is not scientific. Playing with his glasses, Wang Yuantu didn't want to admit it, but the fact was in front of him that he had been playing all night last night. When he woke up, the sky had just begun to dawn. Lying in bed daydreaming for over an hour, my roommates have already started getting up and washing up. Bald. You're almost late. Get up quickly. Today's morning class is your dad's class, don't you want to live anymore? Get lost. That's your dad. Wang Yuantu retorted to his roommate and absent-mindedly started getting up to wash up. After a confused morning, Wang Yuantu returned to the dormitory and couldn't wait to put on his glasses. Looking at the 4 big characters, restricted login, that appeared in front of him, Wang Yuantu, who didn't give up, climbed onto the official website again to check. Bald. We went to eat. What are you doing? Put on your glasses when you come back, you're not nearsighted either. Classmate friend Wang Mingzhe grabbed Wang Yuantu's shoulder and said, turning his head to take a look at the webpage that Wang Yuantu had opened. Reality. A true virtual reality game. Bringing you a different life. The recast of civilization. Looking forward to your arrival. What? Virtual reality. Sleeping trough. Are all the scammers so crazy now? How dare you brag? You're not afraid of the wind and your tongue will flicker. Bald, why are you looking at this thing? Let's go. Let's eat. Those cattle robbed braised pork belly later. Wang Mingzhe glanced casually at the computer, made a few disdainful comments, and pulled Wang Yuantu to leave. It's true. I played all night last night and I can't believe it even now, Wang Yuantu replied dumbfounded. Your grandfather's. I treat you like a brother, and you treat me like a fool, right? Stop dawdling and walk. Hurry up. Don't say braised pork belly later, the free egg soup is gone. Wang Mingzhe ignored Wang Yuantu's words and took him to the cafeteria to cook. After being full of wine and food, Wang Mingzhe was sitting in the cafeteria, stealing glances at the cool-dressed senior sisters. The big fool next to him who had been restless all along stood up with a miso, and walked towards the dormitory without looking back. Hey. Your adoptive father is still here. Wang Mingzhe caught up with Wang Yuantu in 3 steps and 2 steps, grabbing his brother's shoulder and saying, Bald, what are you doing? Why have you been staring blankly all day? What happened? Wang Yuantu blinked his eyes and regained clarity. He turned his head and stared at Wang Mingzhe, saying, intellectual disability. I know you may not believe it, but I really played that virtual reality game last night. When I go back later, I'll let you wear your glasses and you'll know. The early autumn wind blew over Wang Mingzhe's body, and he couldn't help but shiver. Brother. Don't scare me. I told you to play less games. Play less games. Playing too much of that thing can easily become disconnected from the real world. Look at you. You're all in a daze. Walk. Let's go to the girls' dormitory for a while and let your big breasts and thighs awaken your lost consciousness. Wang Yuantu suddenly felt a bit confused. Good guy, he was starting to worry about his mental state. Unable to resist his good brother's hard work, Wang Yuantu followed him to the girls' dormitory for a walk. It should be said that the beautiful scenery is truly intoxicating. While Wang Yuantu was immersed in the beautiful scenery, the other 3 players were also being questioned or ridiculed by their classmates. At 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock in the evening on Earth, the 4 players went online on time. Li Xiang stood in front of the players and waved his hand, and a holographic screen appeared in front of them. Main task. Find suitable energy sources for the base. The energy of the base is severely insufficient. When the energy is depleted, the base will fall into a deep sleep, and the warriors will not be able to reach this world. Please brainstorm and find ways to provide a stable source of energy for the base. Time. Unlimited reward. Never delete files during internal testing. Note. 0.01% of the energy in the base is approximately equivalent to 100 tons of coal. Branch line. Collect bioactive substances. Time. Unlimited reward. Collect 1 kilogram of plants and contribute 1 point. Collect 1 kilogram of animal and make 2 contributions. Main task. Sleepy. Unable to reach. What do you mean? Do you want to shut down the server? Sleeping slot. Dad, don't make a fuss. How can I shut down the server? What kind of bad idea did Dog Plan come up with? Brother T, be cautious. You don't want your account anymore. Sting. The small ball emitted an electric current, indicating that several people were quiet. Li Xiang said solemnly to the few people, the base has already consumed a lot of energy on the road. Currently, the energy reserve of the base has dropped to less than 1%, and we expect to maintain it for 2 to 3 months. If we cannot solve the problem of energy sources during this period, the base will fall into a deep sleep, and everyone will not be able to reach this world. Therefore, in order to save this dying world and to recast the glory of humanity, I hope that during this period, while completing your daily work, you will carefully consider this issue. Alright. We have already informed you about the situation. Our time is precious, so don't waste your time. You can start working now. Tomorrow there will be new warriors joining, thank you for your efforts. After Li Xiang finished speaking, he didn't give a few people time to think and drove them out directly. The 4 of them walked out of the base with axes, walking towards the grass while whispering and discussing. 2nd Battalion Commander. It seems that if we cannot complete this main storyline, the game will end its internal testing, so this task must be done. You charge, definitely. There's no one who can continue to the next scene without completing the main task. Dead brother. Fortunately, there are still 2 or 3 months left. We can think about it carefully, but the energy required for this base is really exaggerated. 0.1% is actually equivalent to 100 tons of coal. To find a stable source of energy, currently we need to build a power generation equipment, at least a kilowatt generator, he said 2nd Battalion Commander. How is electricity made? Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly. Sleeping trough. Brother, did you not graduate from junior high school? 2nd Battalion Commander. I'm really studying biology. It's not normal for me to not remember for a while. Dead brother. Metal cutting can generate electricity through a magnetic field, and that's the principle of a generator. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly. Generators are usually composed of components such as stators, rotors, coils, and bearings. The essential materials are magnets, metal wires, and insulation materials. Can't the base provide corresponding materials and drawings to manufacture them? When it's offline, I'll review the generator's drawings again. Dead brother. Let's go offline later and add some friends. Let's discuss together and see what tools we are suitable for making now. We can't rely on base production for everything, but rather find ways to make things cheaper ourselves. You said, that's it. Whatever you do, you have to contribute a bit. Although you don't know what the contribution point is for. But literally speaking, it shouldn't be currency. Maybe this thing has great use. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly. Isn't that right? Isn't the grass paper I exchanged for with my contribution points yesterday really a loss? 2nd Battalion Commander. What are you doing with changing straw paper? I can't just poop and wipe my butt, can I? Said confidently dead brother. 2nd Battalion Commander. You charge. The 4 of them chopped down about 20 tall trees with thick thighs in the morning, and by noon, they were all so tired that they couldn't stand up straight. This game is too realistic. I can't feel my waist anymore, he said as he collapsed at the entrance of the base. The 2nd Battalion commander looked at the sky with empty eyes and said, shouldn't we consider getting a chainsaw first? I'm worried that the base won't fall asleep in 2 or 3 months, and I'll be gone. Dead brother took a sip of the base card and said, I think we misunderstood the game. Why do we have to go chop trees? Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly. You guys talk about it first, I'll go solve some major life issues. The 3 of them looked at, put up your pants and don't touch them randomly, in confusion, only to see this guy holding a few pieces of grass paper in his hand and quickly squatting down in the grass. You guys charge, my day. Is his character awakened to some amazing physique? Why have we only been on the big account once? How many times has this guy been? 2nd Battalion Commander. I think he may have unlocked the lazy donkey attribute. Lazy donkeys grind feces and pee a lot. Dead brother. Speaking of which, this game is too realistic. It's completely unnecessary to even make this feature so realistic. You have the ability to only eat and not pull, and even poop doesn't make people feel at ease. You don't have any sense of public morality, do you? He shouted discontentedly as he pulled 2 pieces of green grass to block his nose. After finishing the mess in his hand, Brother Death stood up and stretched lazily. Suddenly, he saw a large yellow figure in the grass, quietly approaching. Put up your pants and don't touch them randomly. He quickly shouted, Timo, run quickly, don't squat in the grass anymore. There's a wild beast behind you touching it. Upon hearing these words, the 2nd Battalion commander grabbed the axe and stood up. Put on your pants and don't touch them randomly. Upon hearing the dead brother's reminder, he quickly turned around and looked back. As soon as he turned his head, he saw a bloody mouth rushing towards him. The 3 people at the entrance of the base only heard a mournful sound of, put on your pants and don't touch them randomly, and then they were dragged away by the yellow creature. The 3 of them were about to catch up when Li Xiang walked out of the base with a gloomy face. Don't chase after me. Everyone go back to the base and wait for orders. The 3 of them followed Li Xiang back to the base, only to see Li Xiang wave his hand to open a holographic screen and wave his hand step by step on it. The creature with its pants in hand appeared on the screen, resembling a tiger. But the creature did not have the prominent stripes of a tiger, instead it was covered in spots like a leopard, with no king on its forehead, and a thick and short tail. Is this a lynx? Said the 2nd Battalion commander in confusion. Are your lynx as big as a cow? You charge, retorted. Don't forget the cricket we caught yesterday, the dead brother reminded softly. The lynx, holding the body of Timo, went all the way to the small mountain in the south before starting to enjoy its prey. Looking at the bloody scene, several people felt extremely uncomfortable. Li Xiang waved his hand and mosaicked the scene, making the 3 of them feel better.